Y News with Angelo Castro III, William Theo, and Darlene Basingan.
Meanwhile, the Department of Justice has indicted two Abu Sayyaf members accused of providing medical treatment to wounded terrorists in Marawi City. A case for rebellion was filed against Jad Sri Sa Abdullah and Jamal Jamil, who were arrested while purchasing medical supplies from a pharmacy in Pagadian City. Sa Abdullah was a nurse in the municipal hospital of Bangingi, Sulu, who went on absence without leave. The two were on the arrest order issued by Defense Secretary and Martial Law Administrator Delfin Lorenzana. Some evacuees from Marawi City may have escaped the violence caused by the Mautes terrorist group, but they are fighting another battle in Iligan City. Victor Cosare explains why.
Some residents who evacuated Marawi City after the crisis broke out are pleading that they be given the opportunity to live in Iligan City. This after a number of them experienced discrimination when they were looking for a house to rent in the city.
May bakante na bahay, parentahan, din nakalagay doon available for rent. So kung malaman nila na pangalan mo is Mohaimin ganyan, Mohaimin ganon, no? Apelido mo, site mo, malaman nila na taga Marawi ka, ay sorry, exclusive for kuanito, Christian people.
I hope the Iliganos would rethink and reconsider our stand, ilang stand nga tagaan mi nila og chance nga makaabang sa mga bakante nga mga kung wala mong bakante, wala mi okay lang, we would understand.
Apartment owners in Iligan City explain that although they sympathize with what the Marawi residents are going through, but they just want to be sure that they are not letting in the wrong person into their property.
Tao din naman yun, naawa din naman ako siyempre. Kaya lang siya yung ingat di ko inaalis.
Mudawat mi pero pili mo lang mo.
Meanwhile, the local police are conducting an ongoing monitoring following the report that some Moros are planning to cause violence in the city.
Mao na gani nga house to house tab station sa mga atong gisuspetsahan nga naay mga sympathizers pod sa Mautes or Lolis terrorist group naa sa atong syudad.
Victor Cosare, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Trade Secretary Ramon Lopez says the crisis in Marawi and the existing martial law in Mindanao do not affect the general business outlook of foreign investors for the country. Rosalie Cos explains why.
Trade Secretary Ramon Lopez reports that there is 5% increase in the number of companies and organizations investing in the country from July to December 2016. Aside from this, business confidence for the country also remains high. So if Secretary Lopez would be asked, he said Marawi crisis as well as the declared martial law in Mindanao have not affected the foreign investments in the country.
On the business, hindi po tayo affected because yung sa mga negosyante, they really look into the longer term potential of a country and the fundamentals. Very bullish ang mga investors locating here, not to mention the market access if they locate here.
Meanwhile, DTI also stressed the benefits the country has gained out of the foreign trips of President Duterte. Lopez says these are also the beginning of the establishment of good relations, especially economic connections with more countries.
Being the ASEAN chairman, President Duterte considers himself obliged to really visit each of the ASEAN leaders. President Duterte meeting with the other leader of each of the ASEAN countries there, as we always hear, and that's very true. They're more than friends. The relationship has really improved and more not only commitments but actual signing of purchase orders take place.
During the first year of his term, President Duterte has gone to 18 countries with a total number of 21 foreign trips. Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacanang.
The local government of Davao City gives recognition to members of the Task Force Davao. Victor Cosare tells us why.
The local government of Davao City has accorded 30 members of the Task Force Davao after they arrested the founding leader of the Maute group, Kay Amora Maute, and his 3 cohorts last June 6. The soldiers received certificate of appreciation during the flag raising ceremony at the Quezon Park in Davao City earlier.
Ano kasi sa tradisyon ng armed forces, every time po yung mga kasundaluhan natin at saka yung mga kapko natin ay meron silang nagawa na maganda. Meron po tayong talagang parang awards system para sa lahat ng tropa.
The local government officials are thankful to the members of the Task Force Davao for their contribution to maintain the safety in the city. The father of the Mautes brothers was arrested recently at a checkpoint in Sirawan Turil in Davao when he acted suspiciously while being interrogated by military troops. Meanwhile, the local government of Davao City has already distributed relief goods worth 200,000 pesos to residents of Marawi City.
We distributed, Mr. President, malongs and among others.
Davao City Councilor Danilo Dayanghirang says the morale of the soldiers deployed to fight in Marawi City remains high despite the rising number of deaths among their comrades. Meanwhile, the Philippine Councilors League will conduct a joint sports activity that would serve as a charity event for the victims of the Marawi siege. Victor Cosare, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The Office of the Solicitor General has asked the Supreme Court to dismiss the petitions against the declaration of martial law. Roderick Mendoza explains why.
Solicitor General Jose Calida is seeking the dismissal of petitions which aim to compel Congress to convene in joint session and look into the factual basis of the martial law declaration in Mindanao. The petitions were filed by the groups of former Senator Bobby Tañada and Senator Laila De Lima. Calida says the Supreme Court has no jurisdiction to compel Congress as a co-equal branch of government. He said it's clear under the separation of powers that the court may not intervene in the affairs of the legislature and it cannot direct Congress how to do its job. He argues nowhere in the Constitution it says that Congress is mandated to convene in joint session. Calida further said the Senate and House are only directed to vote jointly if they will revoke or extend the martial law declaration. He says the refusal of Congress to hold joint session could not be considered as grave abuse of discretion. Nonetheless, the two houses of Congress have already expressed their support to the declaration of the President. In sum, Calida says compelling Congress to convene in joint session is beyond the parameters of the Constitution and an unnecessary duty on its part. Roderick Mendoza, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
Next on Y News. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas or BSP maintains no extension of the June 30 deadline to exchange old banknotes.
COMELEC worries of not being able to finish the printing of election ballots if Congress delays decision on the local polls in October.
And over 4,000 cops are set to be deployed in Cebu City to secure delegates in the ASEAN meetings in July.
Y News will be right back. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas urges the public to use the remaining days to exchange old banknotes in their possession. Ray Pelayo explains why.
Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas or BSP's demonetization program of old currency banknotes is only until June 30. After this, old banknotes will lose their value as legal tender.
Hindi na pwedeng palitan sa anumang bangko at hindi mo na pwedeng pangbayad. Ibig sabihin, pag hawak-hawak nila ito, it is as good as no value.
BSP's demonetization program began in December 2014. The original deadline was set in December 2016, but it was extended twice in March and on June 30 this year. The old currency banknotes referred to designs as early as 1985. Due to the extension, BSP was able to collect 2.8 billion pesos from January to February 2017. Exchanges from OFWs meanwhile reached around 4.2 million pesos worth from January to March of this year. Meanwhile, BSP has incorporated more security features in the new currencies to prevent counterfeiting.
We have really to come up with new design, security features from time to time.
BSP said old currencies that are still in circulation are just a small percentage of its total. The agency is not expecting 100% return of old currencies.
Meron naman din tayong mga nasa mga collectors, di ba? Hands of the collectors. Meron na rin siguro ng mga nasunog, meron na rin mga nabahaan.
Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The COMELEC is hoping Congress would immediately decide on whether or not to push through with the barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections in October. Aiko Miguel explains why.
The Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, continuously prepares for the barangay and SK elections expected in October. But the poll body is still having doubts that the elections will push through this year. This is why it is hesitant to begin the printing of more than 77 million ballots next month.
We expect to be able to print the ballot sometime in the third week of July. That's because we're almost done with what we call the project of precincts. That's the process where we determine how many voters there are per precinct and therefore how many precincts.
The poll body is hoping that before the printing begins, the Congress would already decide on whether or not to postpone the elections when its session resumes next month.
What we're asking for essentially is the signal to stop. Yun naman eh. Without that signal to stop, then we will continue. Unfortunately, continuing will occasion spending money. And if we're gonna stop anyway, then we might as well stop as early as possible.
It is also a huge challenge for COMELEC to finish the printing and preparations of the ballots with only 3 months before the October polls. This is because it will still have to examine the ballots one by one before distributing them to various polling stations across the country. Meanwhile, 58 million voters have already registered for the upcoming polls from November 7, 2016 to April 29, 2017. The poll body is hoping that the elections will push through this year so that the efforts of the voters to register would not be put to waste. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
The Philippines, as the host of this year's 50th anniversary of the ASEAN, led today's ASEAN Conference on Sustainable Urbanization. Ray Pelayo tells us why.
ASEAN member states gathered today in Pasay City to discuss the measures on how to solve the problems brought about by urbanization. The Department of Environment and Natural Resources, or DENR, said it is high time for the regional bloc to gather experts in order to address the unlikely effects of urbanization, especially in the environment.
This is also the event wherein we can use to review the ASEAN policies when it comes to urbanization to achieve a sustainable urbanization.
Environment Secretary Roy Simato explained that urbanization is the major driver of the world's changing climate as the result of global warming. It also makes worse problem in pollution, particularly in air and water. Simato said he has an instruction to clean the air, especially here in Metro Manila, blaming mainly vehicle emission as a major contributor to air pollution. Likewise, he argues that the continuous population growth and irresponsible waste disposal makes the lakes and rivers more polluted.
I'm worried here in Metro Manila. Well, we should already start this to go into that level because the recipient of this one will be the next generation.
Simato will ask the President to issue an executive order or the Congress to pass a law that will require the planting of more trees in Metro Manila. He also prioritizes the cleaning of Laguna Lake, Pasig River, and Manila Bay. The DENR will strictly observe the implementation of the Clean Air and Water Act and its programs. The ASEAN Conference will end on June 30. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasay City.
Meanwhile, more than 4,000 cops will be deployed to Cebu City during the ASEAN meetings to be held in July. Joan Nano explains why.
Task Force Cebu conducted a drill in preparation for the Association of Southeast Asian Nations or ASEAN meetings that will kick off in the city next week.
Part ng exercise ito no, na kasama doon sa ginagawa nating parang simulation exercise for a drill na ginagawa natin at ito ay ma-apply natin doon sa mga activities dito sa ASEAN.
Authorities have finalized today the security measures they will implement in Cebu City during the event. Police Regional Office 7 Director, Police Chief Superintendent Noli Talino says more than 4,000 policemen will be assigned at the airport, hotels, and other ASEAN venues.
More than 4,300. Pero dahil ina-upgrade natin yung security base doon sa may bagong policy, ay baka madagdagan pa ito. Baka abot pa ng 5,000 itong deployment natin.
More than 200 delegates of ASEAN member countries are expected to attend the meetings. Although there is no security threat in the city, authorities are considering the installation of signal jammers in the venue of the event. On Friday, authorities will conduct the send-off ceremony for those part of the deployment and implementation of security measures for the ASEAN meetings. Joan Nano, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
In other news, Undersecretary Antonio Co. Jr. has been designated as Chief of the PDAF Scam Task Force of the Department of Justice, or DOJ. In an order issued today by Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre, Yusek Co. will supervise the investigation on the pork barrel scam and on the anomalies in the disbursement acceleration program of DAP of the previous administration. Aguirre previously said DOJ will open a new probe into the PDAF scam and will study the possibilities of making Janet Lim Napoles a government witness. A large mural painting is now the face of the old dirty wall of Kalayaan Avenue in Makati City. Maki Libradilla explains why.
The Metropolitan Manila Development Authority's street rehabilitation features wall painting and tree planting activities along Kalayaan Avenue in Makati City. International muralist Cesar Caballero says his painting in the once vandalized street has helped improve its appearance. He believes such a work of art, in a way, would help the public, especially employees who pass by the street every day.
The art and the painting changed my life. Everything changed. To express himself, sometimes it's more dangerous what you have inside than what you have outside.
Hindi ho siya masyadong malinis, parang madilim kung titignan dahil nga ho hindi ho maayos.
Cesar's partners in painting the street were students of the 4th Bonifacio High School and Elementary School and representatives from the DENR, Climate Change Commission, and National Youth Commission. Aside from this, they also planted 350 bignay seedlings that could help provide fresh air. MMDA Assistant General Manager for Operations Julia Nebria explains the effort would spread environmental awareness among the youth and would encourage them to care for nature.
Especially we're getting involved the young people to show them that change is really possible and we can all help and work together to beautify our environment.
Sa pamamagitan po nito, kahit maliit po na bagay man para malaking tulong na rin po ito sa ating kapaligiran.
Maki Libradilla, UNTV News and Rescue, Makati.
The Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, or MMDA, is planning to change the implementation of the number coding scheme. Joyce Balancio will tell us why.
To ease traffic in Metro Manila, the Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, or MMDA, is planning to implement the number coding scheme twice each week. MMDA Chair Danny Lim said this will address road congestion in most roads in Metro Manila. He said 30% of all registered vehicles in the whole country, or equivalent to 2.6 million vehicles, are in Metro Manila. The 5% of road network in the metro cannot contain this volume.
Pinag-iisipan po natin with the support of the Metro Manila Council, of course, yung mga mayors natin, kung susuportahan nila, pinag-aaralan natin kung pwedeng i-modify pa yung number coding scheme na sa ngayon. Siguro pwede namang konting sakripisyo pa para sa lahat. Baka pwedeng gawing 2 days out of every week ang hindi paggamit ng sasakyan.
Motorists have different views on the matter.
Bike po, para maluwag ang trapiko.
Siguro okay na yung ginawa nilang walang window. Sa akin okay na yung ganun. Pero yung gagawin pang 2 days, maraming maapekto ang mga
Meanwhile, House Transportation Committee Chairman Congressman Cesar Sarmiento does not agree with the proposal of the MMDA.
Self-defeating naman ang purpose yan eh. If we impose that, so you cannot prevent those who are capable of buying would buy again new vehicles. Dagdag na naman yun.
Aside from adding more infrastructure, Sarmiento says transportation agencies should also clear the secondary roads to avoid congestion in primary roads in Metro Manila. Lawmakers also raised the issue that there are few MMDA traffic enforcers stationed in Metro Manila.
Yung mga traffic auxiliaries natin ay nagkakawalaan dahil last time na sumweldo ay February pa. So yan po ang isa sa mga inaasikaso natin.
A representative from the Department of Budget and Management or DBM said they will address the issue raised by the MMDA. Joyce Balancio, UNTV News and Rescue, House of Representatives.
The Department of Trade and Industry has released a blueprint of the modern jeepney, which will replace old models throughout the country. Joanano will tell us why.
Versions of modern jeepney were shown by car manufacturers this past days. But earlier today, the Department of Trade and Industry released the blueprint of a modern jeepney recommended them by the Department of Transportation. Based on DTI specification, a basic 22-seater jeepney should be 200 cm long, 700 cm wide, with an overall minimum height of 175 cm. Passengers should be able to stand up inside since the modern jeepney is almost similar to a minibus. The entrance is on its side, which makes it safer for boarding passengers. DTI says this model is more reliable since it complies with the safety standards, but it's for DOTR to approve the design.
This is really led by the OTR. Kahit na anong standard gawin namin, kung hindi i-adapt ng DOTR, mahirap pangunaan sila na dapat ganito. Design as well as measurements lamang yung included dito.
DTI has also released the blueprint to potential manufacturers to get their comments within 15 days. Pasang Mazda President Obet Martin presented another version of the prototype jeepney. It's a similar design but has additional features such as Wi-Fi connection and air conditioning unit.
I presented this unit to them. Sabi nila basta magkukumply lamang sa Philippine standard, walang problema.
In a memorandum issued by the Transportation Department, fare increase is necessary to compensate for the expenses for jeepney modernization. The 8 peso minimum fare could increase up to 10 pesos. Commuters don't mind this if it means comfort in their trips.
So, willing kayo magbayad ng 10 pesos?
Okay lang po. Willing po ako. Sa akin okay lang.
Bakit, sir?
Mas convenient eh. Saka afford ko naman eh.
According to DTI, the prototype version of the modern jeepney will be released to the public by September. Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The southwest monsoon is affecting southern Luzon. Pag-asa says the province of Aurora and regions of Bicol, Calabarzon, Mimaropa, and eastern Visayas will experience a light to moderate rains. Meanwhile, Metro Manila and the rest of the country will be partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated rain showers and thunderstorms. No tropical cyclone is seen to affect the country until the end of June.
Coming up, an AirAsia flight bound for Kuala Lumpur forced to turn back after shaking more than an hour.
Basketball legends and celebrities attend the first ever NBA Awards.
And fans gather in London's King's Cross Station to celebrate 20 years of the best-selling classic Harry Potter.
More from Y News after this break.
The local government of Lemery in Batangas was thankful for the free medical and legal services rendered by UNTV and Members Church of God International. Robbie De Guzman explains why.
Lemery, Batangas is a first-class municipality with 46 barangays. 60% of the livelihood here is from agriculture, while 30% is from fishing. The local government of Lemery admits that many residents still experience poverty, especially those living in far-flung barangays. Romana has been complaining about the pain on her nape due to hypertension for 5 years. She also cannot afford to consult with a doctor. Like Romana, Christina, whose 2 children have been sick for 3 days, also struggles due to financial problems. She said the 200 pesos earning of her husband from driving tricycle is not enough for the medicine of her children.
Minsan nga po wala po naiiwan sa amin pag po naalis siya. Pag nagkasakit pa wala po kami pambiling gamot. Salamat po sa medical mission at kami po nakakuha ng gamot at nakatulong po sa aking magulang at sa aking mga anak.
So they grabbed the opportunity to consult a doctor at the free medical mission of UNTV and Members Church of God International. Some 1,700 individuals availed of free medical services like general checkup, pedia consultation, free tooth extraction, and ECG. Some availed of free legal consultation and free haircut.
Marami pong salamat sa gamot. Saka makakatulong po yun sa amin.
Kuya Daniel, maraming salamat sa laki ng binigay mong tulong para sa bayan ng Lemery. Naway bigyan ka ng Panginoon Diyos. Ikaw ang naging sugo ng Panginoon Diyos para makatulong sa aming mga kababayan. Kaya dasal ko rin na bigyan ka ng magandang pangangatawan.
The local government of Lemery, Batangas hopes that this will not be the first and the last time the residents in the town could avail of the free medical services. Robbie de Guzman, UNTV, News and Rescue, Philippines.
A total of 109 Filipino performing artists are all proud, excited, and hopeful as they are set to compete in the U.S. Robbie de Guzman tells us why.
The World Championships of Performing Arts, or WICOPA, is an Olympic-style competition for performing artists participated every year by 52 countries from across the globe. In preparation for the competition, more than 2,000 Filipino artists participated in the audition, but only 109 of them passed to officially become part of the Philippine delegation to the event, which will be held in Long Beach, California, USA. The participants competed in dancing, singing, acting, modeling, and playing musical instruments. Jorel Canuel went emotional as he was given the chance to be a representative of the country at WICOPA.
Sobrang proud po kasi bilang Pilipino, since as I was saying po na hindi ko naman po talaga pinangarap to kasi sobrang taas na po masyado kung yun ang papangarapin ko.
These 3 singers from Davao were worried at first about their fare going to California, but they were very thankful to finally got sponsors.
Yung struggle lang sa amin is yung sa akin is financial problem, then hindi din po kasama yung parents ko dahil po sa financial problem. So, before ako na kasali dito sa competition na to, naghirap talaga kami.
On Wednesday, all 109 delegates of the country will fly to California for the WICOPA 2017. The country has won the highest award several times, especially in the field of singing, since it joined in 2005. The champions include Jed Madela, Circado Sisters, or commonly known as the Fourth Impact, Raymond Sahur, Kath Loria, and Beverly Kaimen.
I see the heart in the performance. It's in our blood. It's not very technical. Kasi yun lang naman ang napansin ko when it comes to other performers from other countries. They're very dinumero. They're very technical. They're very, go to the left, go to the right, do this, do that. Ang Pinoy, when we go on stage, it's more of us telling a story. It's more of us speaking our hearts out through song, dance.
Robbie de Guzman, UNTV, News and Rescue, Philippines.
A Filipino filmmaker in Toronto was amazed by the concept of Kuya Daniel's advocacy film, Isang ARAW, IKATLONG YUGTO. Bianca Quijano tells us why.
Toronto-based filmmaker J.R. Teodoro is convinced
that the movie Isang Araw, IKATLONG Yugto is a high-caliber film as it truly moves the audience with its unique plot. He says the movie impacts the audience right on the very moment it is screened, as it highlights the importance of moral values.
Ang daming values na Filipino values and common sense values or Christian values, right way para turuan ang mga tao ngayon na sometimes wala nang heart eh. They just concentrate on earning money. They tend to forget about life. And this movie, I believe, has full of that sense. Andun yung realization, andun yung mapapatulala na lang sila na oo nga totoo yun I should have that. I should have that value at least. So yun, yeah, it will help definitely the future generation.
Members of the audience also shared their individual reviews of the film.
Makaka-relate po lahat, any age, especially about family, tsaka especially about mga problema po right now sa society.
Lahat ng eksena mula sa umpisa ng pelikula hanggang dulo, movie ito na hindi may expire. Kasi anytime mo panoorin to, kahit next year mo panoorin to, after 10 years panoorin mo uli, yung lahat ng mga mensahe doon, solid yon. Lahat ng aral doon, pakikinabangan ng lahat ng klase ng tao.
Kuya Daniel personally graced the event as he also wanted to visit our compatriots in the East Coast of the United States and in Canada. Fans and supporters were overly excited to see him as soon as he arrived at Pearson International Airport. Meanwhile, Kuya Daniel reveals what to watch out for in the fourth sequel of the movie.
We're actually finalizing yung script for ika-4 na yugto nito. It's just that merong mga recent na mga pangyayari na I think kailangan kaming gumawa ng ibang mga adjustment doon sa laman ng script dahil doon sa mga pangyayaring nagaganap ngayon na isasama namin doon sa magiging takbo. Yung present situation and yung mga naging development sa atin, pati sa Pilipinas and other parts of the world. Maaaring ito'y isama namin sa tatalakayin doon sa next film.
Bangko Sentral, UNTV News and Rescue, Toronto, Canada.
Those are the reasons behind the news, June 27, 2017. I'm Angelo Castro III.
Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I am William Theo.
And I'm Darlene Basingan because we need to know.
We will always ask why. Thank you for watching Y News.